Well, I think when I seen what I was a fan of Walter Cronkite,
Right.
because he was he was a really
The legendary journalist, yeah, of the Vietnam era.
yeah, and he used to show these body bags coming in.
Yeah, at one point he was the most trusted man in America during the Vietnam War era.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. And I feel that's when they started trying to control the media outlets, and I think that's what happened. There's so many
dumbing down
with the press.
Okay.
They want to be friends with the people that are supposed to be governing over us. When I don't think there's supposed to be a friendship there. It's supposed to be some kind of disconnect when it comes to public servants and the journalists.
Right.
To me, now it's all kumbaya kind of thing. Now.
Right.
That's what I see.
Right.
And that's what I get that from you, that you know kumbaya with you. You want to find out what the real answers are.
Right.
And give it to the people.
Right.
Let the people make their own mind up. Just ask the question, and the people make up their own mind.
That's right.
What's going on.
No,
and that's what I felt you and Cliff did. We lost a great leader in journalism when we lost Cliff.
Right.
Thank God we still have you on board, when to ask the tough question. And, we love Dennis Archer, and I know he worked with Dennis Archer, and I promised him that I wouldn't talk about dog Dennis Archer out when I talk to him. And I'm glad to say I kept my promise to Cliff on that, because I knew about Dennis Archer, and I know why he did to be asked the tough questions, because
neither Dennis Archer or Kwame Kilpatrick. But I thank you so much, Les. The thing is, I don't drink anybody's Kool-Aid, so I'm just straight. I'm not interested in drinking anyone's Kool-Aid. I'm not falling for okie doke. I'm not falling for political correctness. I think there's always a story beyond a story. And I think, honestly, and I'm not, trying to say that, we have to have this puritanic image that we project, but we're not perfect. We make mistakes. That's why, we run, corrections, we run rejoinders, and so we don't get the facts straight all the time. But I think that, as journalists, and especially, black journalists in the media, I think much is expected of us, because this is the business, especially in our role in the mainstream media. There's a business that once upon a time did not have many black faces or many blacks writing or appearing on television and so forth. And so, there was a time you would not see a Chuck Stokes at XYZ as the, host of Spotlight. There was a time you would not see a Carolyn Clifford at XYZ as an anchor woman. There was a time in this country when that was strange. It was a foreign idea. So, but I still think that people expect a lot out of us in terms of the faces that they see in print and electronic media, because I think we have come a long way, and honestly, to whom much is given, as it is said, biblically, much is expected.
Well, one of the things that we saw, and as a kid growing up with WCHB, Ulysses Boykins, they put together the first African-American radio station, which led to, R.J. Watkins and so forth, as we began to get the first voices and faces out here in our community. The idea there was that the journalists were actually prepared to talk about the issues, and in most cases more prepared than the people they were interviewing.
Right.
And that's where I think you gain traction, where you're a step ahead of the person. You mentioned some of the great figures. I was a big fan of Sam Donaldson.
Right.
Because he was no joke.
Right.
But he brought the facts down in front of the elected official and forced them to backpedal.
But you have to, and I think you hit it right. And Ronald, I'm coming to you. 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600 is the number to call and chime in. We're talking about blacks in media through the lens of Cliff Russell's legacy. I think the other thing here, Brian, is that, on which you just talked about, and that is the, you get to be able to prepare. You can go to an interview and appear to be a student, and the person you are interviewing is the teacher. They can tell if you're not ready. Because believe me, when you go into interviews, the person that you're interviewing has already done their homework on you. I remember I was sitting down several years ago. I sat down with then Mary Sue Coleman, the then president of the University of Michigan. I walked into her office for an interview. It was right after the fallout of affirmative action. The Supreme Court decision saying, diversity is a compelling interest and all of that. And there was still this remnants from the fallout of affirmative action. When I walked into her office, her deputies have already pulled up my file. She found out how many books I've written, all the latest articles, and it was almost as if some sort of an ideological study into my spectrum, into the things that I'm interested in. So right away she could tell how ideologically minded I am and what issues and things interest me. And was I surprised? I was not surprised. Our first comment was, how's your second book doing? That was right at the top. We had this dialogue before the interview officially started. But it was interesting to me because she did her homework. She's the president of the University of Michigan. She wanted to know who she was sitting with for an hour to have an extensive conversation about blacks and affirmative action. So, and I say that to say that when you go in as a journalist to interview people, you got to be prepared. You can't go in there like the student. And I think sometimes, embarrassingly, we watch interviews on TV where you know very well that journalist was not prepared. Because you could have said there were 3 follow-up questions to that question in itself, and he basically moved on like he's scripted. Oh, the next question is about electricity. Okay, wow. Okay, we're moving to tomatoes. Okay, we're moving from there to cabbage. It's like the interview becomes so disjointed. There's no follow-up, and the viewer is saying, my God, go for a follow-up. Hit him hard on this. Ask this question. No, it's all scripted.
Obviously, that's how Trump got away. And I'm not going to get into the obvious, but that's how Trump got away with it with these debates, because those weren't debates, right? Where was your rebuttal? I mean, we actually, hot debate. There's a structured process going on there, and that was not followed.
Right.
And so the media abandoned, in our opinion, abandoned America that in such a way that you let essentially, largely we know, a con man essentially not let the facts confuse the issue.
Yeah, the challenge for blacks in media is so much is enormous, but obviously no different than our white counterparts and our other colleagues in this business. But the preparation, the need to prepare. When you watch Cliff's interview, you clearly tell Cliff was prepared. And was telling yesterday at the funeral of Brian, it was said that Cliff did not watch movies. Cliff was interested in reading books and watching documentaries.
That's why I brought up Ed Vaughn earlier, because again, and myself growing up, we didn't have all these distractions, social media, cell phones. We didn't have any of that. You basically had books. And in my house, if the TV was on, Dad would find something for you to do, unless it was the news. I put you to work scrubbing some floors or something. No, you read books. You read magazines. You read journals. You did things that challenged you to take into account other people's opinions.
Right.
And challenge the ideas of others from a factual basis.
Right.
And that way you get a meeting of minds. And in many cases, you can change institutions by getting people to agree on a common set of facts. I think that's what's been missing in our civil discourse. But Cliff Russell was certainly one of the people that caused that to happen. That's why some people but were frankly afraid to appear in front of him, because that was some heat in that kitchen.
Yes, there was. Let's go to Ronald. Ronald has a question. Okay. We lost Ronald. Let's move to Harry. Harry, question. Okay.
Hello. How are you guys doing?
We're good.
Great show today. I was just really interested in all the knowledge you have of the history of journalism in our community. And I still remember, like, the Chronicle showing up on the porch and reading that. And, it's a different world now.
Right.
And I guess that's my question for your guests today. What do you see? Because I can tell you've seen quite a lot over the years. What have you seen, and are you seeing now? What do you think of the current direction or changes in journalism? And now I'm not talking about Cliff, because I'm not asking you to judge him, but I'm saying just